22 jobs, one at a time, crushed. But this series would never be truly complete without pushing it to 26 with the Game Boy Advance jobs. Unfortunately, by the time you get access to the GBA jobs, the game's just over. All that's left are the Interdimensional Rift and the Sealed Temple. That's hardly enough content to enjoy the new exclusive GBA content. So that's right, I'm gonna cheat. The advanced jobs will be unlocked right from the get-go. All of the same challenge rules apply. Immediately changing to the current job, lock it in, then I just have to get the Warriors of the Crystal to Neo Exdeath and smash his numerous faces in to see those sweet, sweet credits. The final job, Oracle, has arrived. It's also the third and final job to not have access to knives. At the very least, I'm not permanently undead this time around, so I can and will be healing myself in battles. It's been what, like 20 years since I even looked at Oracle otherwise. But I know that there's not going to be a way around it. I'm going to have to grind just to beat Wingraptor. I ran from everything until I got the whole crew together and arrived at the Wind Shrine. Alright, let's try out Condemn. Brimstone sounds okay. 20 seconds? It's literally faster to kill these stupid squirrels with my bare hands. Finding out what Condemn actually does is gonna have to wait. I'm hunkering down to grind by beating every enemy's face in bare knuckle. Kill a couple of enemies, return to the Wind Shrine to slurp up the refreshing electrolyte-filled juices within. Eventually, I gathered up enough cash to go on a shopping spree in Tool. Staves. Disgusting, but it's all I'm gonna get. Surely they're better than my bare fists. I've acquired some potions too, and it's right back to it. Staves are indeed slightly better overall, sometimes. Whatever, I'm gonna have to use them. At level 6 I returned to Tool to get more potions. Now, I've finally decided to traverse the Wind Shrine. Alright, let's see what you got, you 6-foot turkey. Condemn doesn't work. No way, man. Wingraptor is flagged with heavy? Why? In what universe was that needed? I tried casting Condemn a few more times, in vain. Time to figure out what Rejuvenation and Recuperation do. I got one staff swing off before Wingraptor cowardly hit. I'm just gonna wait for my personal Condemns to go off. A 900 HP heal. Alright, Rejuvenate, you can stick around. Looks like Recuperate whiffed, but my huge brain realizes that it's probably a status cure. Wingraptor opened up and threw out a Breathwing. Spamming a round of Rejuvenations it is, and Lena died before it actually went off. God, is Oracle really this bad? This was by far the worst Wingraptor ever in my history of playing Final Fantasy V, but I still beat it. Constant rejuvenation and the occasional potion kept the rest of the team up as I gradually whittled his health down 20 HP at a time. This took over 5 minutes to beat the tutorial boss, which doesn't bode well for the rest of the playthrough. The wind crystal's already shattered, and King Tycoon's nagging me about the imminent destruction of the rest of them. So I left to continue grinding outside. I won't do what you tell me! I'm nearly an hour into this playthrough, and I've made virtually no progress, but I have finally unlocked Predict. Let's see what it does. Pestilence kills my team. Why would that even be an option? I know that I'm gonna need to figure out Predict later, but for now, I grinded for another 20 minutes before heading back to Tool. I can see the future, and that includes Zoc handing over the canal key, and me going inside for some all-you-can-eat seafood. Carlobos is getting the stick beat down, but let's see if Condemn works. Nope, why would anything nice ever happen? Rejuvenate, throwing potions, and beating off that oversized lobster it is. If someone does get hit, they're getting rejuvenated instantly. Oracle only is proving to be just like White Mage only, except White Mage had way more consistent healing. I guess technically Condemn is costless, but it's really annoying to use, and I just started the game. After grinding for an excessive amount of time, I never expected for such a long and obnoxious Carlobos battle, but it's over now. Sildra's completely exhausted. She's been paddling against the Whirlpool for the entire duration of that fight. Drifted into the ship graveyard, I foresee a club! Oh, okay, close enough. The Flail. White Mage's best friend makes a second appearance for Oracles. I attempted to use Rejuvenate on skeletons to instantly kill them, but it's not wholly healing, so it just restored them. Back to slowly beating everyone to death. On second thought, let's just get the heck out of here. I hear the call of the Siren song. At level 10, can Oracles shake it? Slowed. Well, that's definitely setting the tone for this fight. Unless... Condemn whiffs. Siren is also heavy. Who could have predicted this one? Beating her to death, it is. 27 damage, which is immediately negated twice over with her cure. I love this job, for real. Bartz's flail is definitely going to carry the team here. So of course, Siren slapped him. Wait a second. I've got recuperation. While that's ticking down, Siren swapped to her undead form. Offensively whipping potions at Siren was how this was always going to pan out. Unfortunately, she's also really deadly in undead form, and even with rejuvenations ticking down, Ghost Galof ate it. Ferris was about to suffer the same fate, but Siren swapped back and rejuvenation actually went off this time. The bonking resumes, and Bart's is slowed. This just keeps getting better and better. Why'd I have to open my big mouth? Protect comes out? Siren swaps back to undead, so the offensive potion chucking resumes. In between, desperately trying to throw rejuvenation on my party. Lena succumbed to a Venom class before it went off. Rejuvenation is unbelievably strong healing at this point in the game, but having to wait for it to fire off is genuinely atrocious. Siren swaps again, and I'm left with Bartz and Ferris on beatdown duty. Once again, those staff swings are completely negated by Siren's self-cure. I'm not taking any risks anymore. I'm keeping Rejuvenate up permanently. Siren swapped to undead form again. This is the most swaps I've ever seen. Yup, Ferris got knocked down before Rejuvenate triggered. What a shocker. Back in human form and Bart's whiffed. Then he got slapped. Siren swapped back to undead form and double tapped him. Holy hell, our Oracle's terrible. Losing to Siren is seriously embarrassing. Nothing I can do but run it back and curse the devs for tagging Siren with the heavy flag. No cutesy stuff this time around. I'm just going hog wild with the staves and flail. This time, when I take damage, I'm not even going to bother with rejuvenation. I'm just going to throw potions, like every other job has had to do. Imagine actually trying to use your job abilities. Siren swaps to undead form, and it's potions for her and potions for me. Okay, fine. I'll throw rejuvenation now. Why not? As long as I stay over 100 HP, I'm able to survive Venom Clasp. That's the goal. Back to human and back to bonking. At least she did not put up Protect this time around. The fight seems to have stabilized. Everyone's alive, which means more collective turns. Siren swaps one more time and then dies to a few more potions. Never would have anticipated Siren being so rough, but I'm moving on to Carwin, where, surprise surprise, there's no new weapons, but at least I can get some armor upgrades. Using the Frost Rod would be amazing, but of course, Oracles can't use it. Phoenix Downs are finally available, so that's going to relieve some pressure as I climb up the North Mountain. Climb? More like run. Why would I ever fight anything as this terrible job? But I did finally get a clue and put everyone into the back row. At the summit save point, I turned around to fight some battles. I'm finally giving Condemn the old college try. It's okay, but it really takes forever. Not to mention these headstones being immune to most elements. Yuck. Whatever. Gotta keep moving right to Magisa and her poison dart. Even though she's seen it over 25 times before. Lena didn't see it coming. But you never saw this coming. Magisa is not heavy. Condemn actually works. A shocking revelation. Let's try Brimstone, I guess. While we're waiting, let's just go ahead and get everyone healed up with Rejuvenate. And, yeah, great. Brimstone did just enough damage to pull out Forza from his hiding spot behind those bushes. My next Doom Condemn actually worked, and Magisa was instantly killed. But Forza is evidently heavy, so Condemn doesn't work on him. I really don't have time for this. I'm taking a one-way trip to Reset City, baby! Hello, Magisa! I'm back! I've come to a realization. If Condemn can connect on the target, there's really no reason to use any of the other choices. So you can call me Dr. Doom. That's all I'm ever gonna use. Magisa's instantly killed after 10 seconds. I'm saving Hiryu by condemning him to life with Recuperate. Lena's so silly. That girl's always getting poisoned. I detoured to Tycoon Castle to collect the healing staff. Beating my guys off with the healing staff is a slightly more reliable way to heal my oracles. Potions and Rejuvenate are okay, but they're just not cutting it. The remaining heirloom treasures of Tycoon are getting hawked for Gil at my earliest convenience. Hiryu then flies me to Waltz, where the cold reading grift continues. King Waltz fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. Just ignore the fact that an actual meteor landed. That was simply a coinkydink. I'm thinking the Waltz Tower isn't going to be much of a problem at all, mostly because I'm running from every single battle. That guy definitely should have ran from Garula. It's a self-defense situation! Garula, you're condemned to death. In 10 seconds. I sure hope that instant death on bosses continues to be a trend, but I know those dreams are gonna collapse all around me, just like the Waltz Tower. That's 2 crystals gone. I predict absolutely nothing bad happening in Karnak. And wouldn't you know it, nothing did. I even got some new flails after talking to the world's smartest man, Sid. Level 10 is simply far too low of a level. I'm grinding outside on Wild Nax before tackling the fire ship. Took a while, but I grinded to level 21, using both flail swings and condemning the Nax to death. This was not an enjoyable experience, but I'm finally ready to take on the fire ship and make some progress. At least I think so. No, No, I know so. I am becoming a pacifist and avoiding any and all confrontation. I really can't be bothered to fight these drawn-out combats. Will Queen Karnak and her Liquid Flame be a long and drawn-out combat? No, because Condemn works. Liquid Flame suffers death in a few seconds. He did get a couple of licks in first. Oh no, the fire crystals blowed up. Nobody saw that one coming. And there's 10 minutes before the castle blows up? You know what, man? I'm getting real tired of all of these timers. There is exactly one treasure I care about as oracles, and it's the Elf Cape. Good thing that Gigases are also condemnable. Death comes out, I get my Elf Cape, and I run for the exit, where I proceeded to condemn the sergeant and his knack buddies to death, bro. Oracle had a rough start, but it's all coming together. It's nice having an ability that actually works, and that continues to work through the ancient library. I mean, it better keep working, or this is about to get really disgusting. The eternal running resumes, right up until Ifrit bursts out of a book. Condemn fails to land. It's never been more over, bros. Ifrit's spamming Blaze, and I'm doing my darndest to keep everyone alive with Rejuvenates, but it's just not enough. Bart's ate it. In desperation, I had Lena rip a Predict, and a Healing Wind saved the rest of the party. Then I continued to use Predict, and it did not go very well at all. I'm taking damage from my own attacks, and Pestilence returned to wipe out my party again. Ifrit round 2. Let's try spamming constant rejuvenations while trying to work Ifrit down slowly with flails. This went very poorly. Rejuvenate is really slow to come out, and despite being an Oracle, I can't actually predict what Ifrit's going to do. I can only have one Rejuvenate active on one person at a time, making 4 Oracles a little redundant. It's clear to me that there are good and bad predict outcomes. I really don't see myself beating Ifrit any other way, so I think it's finally time to sit down and actually figure out predict. I'll be back in a minute with my research. It turns out, predict isn't actually random at all. It's all based around your MP's final digit. Since we as humans use a base 10 number system, and you can spend 1, 3, or 7 MP on predicts, you can cycle through spending 3 and 7 MP on predicts to constantly hit the same 2 predicts over and over again. A predict loop, if you will. Swapping between 2 predicts isn't actually that helpful, because most of them damage everything on the battlefield, including my team. There are 2 predict loops that could work, but only one of them works right now, and that's starting at 0 MP. Thank God that Bart's has exactly 180 MP, and I can pull this off. Let me introduce you to the remainder of the Oracle-only playthrough, cycling through predicts at 0 and 7 MP. The rest of the team is spamming Rejuvenate, Potions, or swinging a flail as Bart starts the loops. Predict on 0 causes cleansing, which surprisingly only damages the enemy. I'm genuinely shocked that most of the predicts hit both you and the enemy team. It's a genuinely shocking revelation, because why would you ever use Oracle? Why would you subject yourself to this willingly? The next part of the predict loop is Blessing, which is a full party heal. Then Bart starts it all over again. The first cleansing hit for 700 damage, and the next one hit for over 4,000, killing Ifrit. Why? Well, my friends, that's because predict's damage is modified by your HP's 1 digit. Is this useful info to know? Not particularly. There's really no way to manipulate my HP easily. I'm going to be at full health most of the time thanks to Blessing and Rejuvenate. So the only way I can really change my last digit is if I get randomly slugged by an enemy, which is hardly reliable. The only other way is by changing my max health through level ups. And I'm going to be leveling up a lot throughout the course of the game, so it's just randomly going to dip and sometimes it's going to go up. I'm all smiles, baby. Now that I actually understand how Predict works, I can exploit it against book-based boss Byblos down in the basement. Except Condemned Doom works, so I'll just wait this one out. Thank God for that one, because Byblos might have been a nightmare otherwise. It's happened before, but it's never gonna happen again. Mid is rescued and I've returned to the world's smartest and drunkest man, Sid. I've got a vision of a fire ship in my future, and a second sinking feeling that it's gonna be pulled to the bottom of the ocean. Just not yet. Black Flame Island calls, and I answer. Oracles can grind here, albeit slowly, with Condemned Doom. I stayed here until level 28, which is when I got the 200,000 gil required for Flame Rings. With Flame Rings equipped, the second Predict loop becomes available. This is Eruption into Divine Judgment. This loop cycles between 2 and 5 MP, just like with Cleansing Blessing, alternating casting Predicts with 3 and 7 MP. Eruption does fire damage to the enemy and your party. Divine Judgment does holy damage to the enemy and heals your party. With Flame Rings equipped, the second Predict loop means that every time a Predict goes off, it heals my party. And you could heal my bank account by supporting Backlog Buster by becoming a Patreon supporter or a channel member right here on YouTube. You'll get access to exclusive Premium Buster videos. There are 10 currently, with a new one coming every single month. You'll also get the occasional secret text post or guide. I made a spreadsheet specifically for oracles and predict that's available right now. A special thank you to all of my blessed Buster boys for your continued support. Now, it's back to Crescent Island to finally sink my fire ship. I've got the loops. The only thing I need to figure out now is how to manipulate my MP to guarantee predict outcomes. One random battle later, I started a predict and then ran before it went off. The MP was safely consumed, and now I can manipulate it whenever and wherever I need to. Thank God that works. I was genuinely worried. My problems are all solved, hopefully. Moving into the Chocobo Forest, I snagged up old Bingus and flew back to the Brainlords at the Ancient Library, who immediately set up the Thumper. But I stopped outside the desert to manipulate my MP levels. Set up a predict, then cheese it until I hit those sweet spots. Took a little bit of time because I had to do it with 4 people, but now I foresee a huge sandworm getting torn asunder. Just gotta open my spreadsheet first, hang on a second. Okay, predict looping is a go-go. Cleansing Blessing and now Eruption Divine Judgment thanks to those flame rings. It's working, I guess. The damage is actually kind of unimpressive, but the loops are not triggering the gravity counters from the hole, so that is a rare Oracle win. Every single predict that comes out except Cleansing is a full heal on my party, so I'm really under no threat. All I have to do is wait this out, alternating between predict 3rd rank and predict 2nd rank every time one triggers. That took a pretty long time, but Sandworm's done. I'm off to Gone for King Tycoon's hide and seek tournament, but I already know where he is. Cheating? How is it cheating if I'm clairvoyant? But this is all according to plan. The airship is mine, I just need to beat Crayclaw to get it. Oh no, not Tailscrew, what am I gonna do? Condemn, Doom, Whiffed. Inevitably back to predict looping. Double checking my spreadsheet every time I want to do a predict is getting really old, but I really shouldn't balk at this newfound power. I eventually crushed Crayclaw. Had to wait a long time. With the airship in hand, I raised the Ronka Ruins, returned to Big Brain Senior and the 3rd. Seriously, where's Junior? Mid's dead anyway. Maybe intelligence skips a generation, who knows. But I can't and won't skip the Adamantoise. Especially because no heavy flag, baby. Condemned to death. But that really is one fast turtle. I got walloped. My reward is a high-flying airship and a well-earned rest, which actually kinda sucks because I once again have to set up my MP in random battles. After setting up outside the library, I flew up to the Ronka Ruins to destroy the defense batteries using Foresight. My predict loops are doing well, but they're taking a long time to go off. I'm also incredibly impatient, and it's really difficult to keep track of whose predicts are going off. This leads to a heck of a lot of prediction already made, i.e. a completely wasted turn. So now, not only do I have to sit here and verify every single prediction rank versus my spreadsheet, I now need to keep track of who's on first, just like Abbott and Costello. This is all fine and free, but you can absolutely see why nobody touches this job. It's just tedium incarnate. It really didn't help that all 4 of the Ronka defense batteries were rocket launchers. Flamethrowers were completely free with my flame rings, so of course I'd get the more difficult pulls with Oracle. I'm not crying, I'm just in awe of the girth of the Soul Cannon. Bartz and Galof get instantly ulted before I can even act, nice. Full party predictions are up and I'm waiting around, but what do I do with the rest of these turns while these slowly tick down? Are the side launchers, Condemn? No, of course not, why would they be? Eruption, Cleansing, and Divine Judgment all come out for a total of like 1200 damage. Bro, Oracle and this pseudo-random damage just sucks. Oh, hang on, spoke way too soon. A 6000 damage Cleansing hits. I need more of that in my life. Another round of predictions come out, and the side launchers still aren't dead. I'm thinking that somehow Predict is bypassing the script where these are supposed to explode. But there's not a lot I can do about that one. Just gotta keep slamming down predictions. Not like it matters, since every single one of them is healing me to full health. Of course a wave cannon comes out, and finally the side launchers are dead from another cleansing. From now on, it really doesn't matter how long this takes, because I have more than enough healing to get through the wave cannon. Oh wait, there's another 7000 damage cleansing? I'm done here. Divine Judgment Eruption's working fine, but it's abundantly clear at this point that Cleansing Blessing is a much better predict loop. Cleansing just seems like it has way more damage potential. I'm not even gonna bother going back to Slurp at the Ancient Library since I'm already set up for my loops. I'm just racing through the wonky ronky ruins as fast as possible to reach the end. The black wind howls as I approach King Tycoon. One of you will perish soon. Condemn does nothing to that darned Clapperclaw Archio Aavis. What a shocker. But Eruption's coming out for some pretty good damage. Frost is negated thanks to those flame rings, and hallelujah, Divine Judgment hits for 3000 damage, instantly killing a form, while healing me. Archio Aavis' blaze heals my team thanks to those flame rings. Hang on, did I just say that twice? Eruption has started to heal Archio Aavis. That is a little bit of a problem. But I got some high rolls on the follow-up cleansings which knocked it into the next form. Divine Judgment connects again after working through the loops for 4,000 damage, killing Archio Aavis. But he's back! I really should have set everyone up for cleansing blessing loops because this form's immune to all elemental damage. Except for Holy, apparently. You'll love to see that. And Condemn failed. You know, I had to try at least once, okay? Eruption may be negated on the final form, but it still heals my party. And since Divine Judgment connects, I just have to stay the course and continue cycling through the predicts. Breathwings and Maelstroms are coming out, but spamming predict is constantly healing my team. The occasional confusion is scary, but I can just whack off parts. Oh, Archio Aavis is already dead. And so is King Tycoon! It happened just like I foresaw it in my mind's eye. But what's that glint in the crystal? Oh no, it's Exdeath! Anyways, moving on. Ghost Galuf's getting gone, and I'm getting on with the Bartz's World Meteor World Tour. I checked in with those Brainlords, and they've got ideas. But I've also been hit with a full restore. That means I have to manipulate my MP back down to the appropriate digits. 3 battles later, and I'm ready to tackle the bomb squad. Did you see this coming? A constant stream of predict loops? Eruption hits for a paltry 300 damage. Cleansing then comes out for over 7,000, instantly destroying the bombs before they get much of a chance to do anything. If only every battle could ever be this easy. Karnak is next, and I'm predicting Titan's in for an eviction. He's not happy about that and throws out an Earthshaker, but the follow-up Eruption fully heals my team. The next 5,000 damage cleansing puts an end to Titan, and it bypassed his dying script, so there was no Earthshaker. Gone's brain sucking Manticore is last. The instant Aqua Breath hurts, but I just need to survive until my predictions come true. Which is easy, because Flame Rings are negating Frost. After a few rounds of blessings and a very weak Eruption, Cleansing comes out and wastes the Manticore. Really just gotta stop using Eruption and focus entirely on Cleansing. It would free up my accessory slot too, but what would I even use at this point? This is just my life now, endlessly making predictions for other people. But what about making predictions for myself for a change? I'm forging a new start in Galuf's world. Turns out being a grifting psychic is illegal here too, who would have guessed? Ghost Galuf has come to rescue me. He just phased right through the bars. What ensues is, you guessed it, Galof alternating between using 3 and 7 MP predicts to wear out Gilgamesh. But this Gilgamesh actually has a ton of HP with a special script. So after a handful of eruptions and divine judgments, I smacked him with the flail to activate those almonds. Reunited, I see a very, very long bridge in my future. But I couldn't possibly have foreseen Bartz getting constantly blowed up with mustard bombs. Predicts eventually went off and killed all the enemies, but these battles are not going very well. I have neglected the humble Condemn. Condemn Doom is actually better than Predict looping in these fights, I'm not gonna lie to ya. I wouldn't say Oracle is struggling, but these fights have been really rough. It's not like I'm really under-leveled either, I'm nearly level 30. Oracle's max HP and survivability is just pathetic. We're basically Bardcore. Moving on, let's see what Gilgamesh has in store. Yeah, I knew he was hiding behind that door. Hey, that rhymed. Condemn Doom! Okay, it was worth a shot. Back to Predict, boys! Dear God, I really should have leveled up more. Ferris was instantly flattened. Gilgamesh has really got it out for her. Divine Judgment connects for an unimpressive 600 damage. Eruption nails him for a much more meaningful amount. I've definitely stabilized. A Wind Slash or 2 hits me, but a 6,000 damage Divine Judgment and Gilgamesh is still not in phase 2 for some reason. Predict is definitely bypassing these AI scripts. Oh, I was wrong. Here it is. What? He buffed, jumped on Galof, and immediately died. Okay, guy. The rest of the big bridge battles were just me judging the monsters and sentencing them to death before I was barrier blasted to Gargoyle. Not much to say here. A few new pieces of armor and some high potions. High potions are actually pretty helpful, solely so I can avoid using tents and cabins. I really don't want to mess up my MP once it's set up on the appropriate numbers. I condemned my way down to the Mughal forest. I predict that Mr. Mughal's gonna fall down that hole. You can call me Nostradamus. I could do these fights with Condemn, but running is way more practical. And what's a more practical way to take out Tyrannosaur than a single Phoenix down? Lena uses her intuition to gain the Mughal's trust, and I abuse it with my grifting fake psychic routine to get all of their treasures. Using my abilities as a psychic medium / healer. I have called Kryal and the Windrake takes me back to Ball. Oh my god, Galuf's a king? Couldn't possibly have seen that one coming. And the Windrake's dying, yeah, I can heal it, just... In Kooky Kelp, those werewolf boys see right through my shtick. They're trying to use science to prove that I'm a fraudster. Joke's on them, I've predicted a knuckle sandwich. Kelgar immediately believes me and tells me the tale of the Dawn Warriors. But you and I have already heard this one, several times. Straight into Drakenvale, my divine divinations continue to reign supreme. Just kidding, why try harder? See ya! I suppose the Hypno Crown is a brain booster, but as far as I know, magic power doesn't actually help Oracle at all. My understanding is that it's all based on your HP and MP's final digit. So it's kinda weird that Oracle has the highest magic stats in the game. Oh well, I've reached the summit, and there's the real, honest-to-goodness medicine to save the Windrake. The Dragon Pod and its Dragon Flowers somehow dodged the heavy flag during development, so I'm condemning them all to death. The Dragon Pods first, and then each of the lowly Dragon Flowers shortly after. The Dragon Grass is acquired. Let's skedaddle. After gaining exactly 1 level, for reasons that only I will truly understand. Back to Ball, the Windrake is miraculously healed. Shut up and eat the herbs and don't tell anybody. No, not you, Len. Flying through the sky, I see a disaster in the future. Oh, it was just Sage Guido's cave sinking, so nothing of value was lost. At the Great Fleet of Surgate, I face my greatest fear. Billionaire turtle farmer Zaza forced me to take a snooze cruise. My MP is totally refilled. Good thing I leveled up exactly once in Drakenvale to raise my maximum MP, so I'm not totally screwed over by this. I'm an Oracle, I got the foresight, remember? Also, I've played this game like 40 plus times at this point, so I knew this was gonna happen. I can still manipulate my MP here. I set up Condemn Doom on the Gobbledygook and waited for it to run down a bit. Then I set up a predict that would inevitably kill me, but Condemn kills the Goblin before it actually goes off. Gilgamesh himself should be condemnable. I've death potioned him before in the past. No? Why would anything be easy? Back to the good old 3-7 predict loops it is. Oh baby, Galof and Ferris have 0 in their last digit. That means 10, the max, so they're crushing it with Eruption and Divine Judgment. Enkidu shows up to negate most of it with White Wind. Keyword most. Unfortunately, that silly little guy forgot his heavy flag, so he's getting condemned to death. A few more catastrophes get predicted, and Gilgamesh is out of here. Then I'm headed downstairs to enter the Super Secret Submarine. Zaza rammed it straight into the barrier tower. Inside, I have no need for anything. My core strategy requires flame rings, so reflect rings really ain't gonna help. I'm just racing straight to the top. Interdimensional Maw Atmos descends from the heavens. Please be condemnable, please be condemnable. Nope, the hard way it is. Bartz is toasted by comets. Predict looping starts. Getting to level 29 really helped out here. Lena immediately nailed Atmos for 5,000 damage. Nobody could have seen the comet bonking Ferris in the head, but another cleansing comes out for 6,000 damage. Immediately followed by another one. The same strategy continues. Set up the predicts and wait around. A very weak eruption comes out, but a much beefier cleansing comes out before Ferris is sucked very far at all. Atmos is completely cooked. Not gonna lie, that one's a big relief. I was really worried about Oracle's damage in this damage racing boss, but that's all in the past now. Along with Zaza's life, Quasimodo predicted all of this. With Zaza's homemade submarine, I foresee some annoyance in Sage Guido's cave. Okay, a lot of annoyance. But if I can snag a Staff of Light, I will absolutely take it. Except the Metamorphs are heavy, so they can't be condemned. I'm running away. Later, nerds! Sage Guido hands over the Guardian Branch, and I set sail for more. All I can get here is some new armor and consumables. Mostly ethers. I'm gonna huff those instead of going to sleep. Into the forest, and I'm running to the end because why bother fighting anything? I will bother picking up my old friend, the Morning Star. I have a very sinking suspicion that I'm really gonna need this. Oh no, the forest is on fire. Saved by my Mughal buddies. Now let's head over to the Guardian Tree that's been charred to a crisp. 1, 2, 3, 4. What do those crystals have in store? Oh, they're condemnable. Beautiful. 4 crystals condemned to death. Just gotta wait this one out. Even then, I still came close to dying. Oracle really has the constitution of wet tissue paper. Exdeath arrives on the scene and then Galof condemns himself to death to avoid the battle. Kryl has now arrived in the picture. Like, she's in the party and, you know, she actually has a sprite, so she's in the picture. I'm flying on the Nameless Windrake straight to regular Castle Exdeath. Turns out the way to break the seal on Exdeath's castle is the death of the Dawn Warriors. Great job, everyone. Really hope that that doesn't cause your own downfall there, Exdeath. I'm entering Meet Castle Exdeath now, where Oracle once again gets nothing. What else is new? Very few enemies in here are heavy, so I'm slamming Condemned Doom to kill them. Well, you know, when I feel like it or get stuck from running. Black Warlocks are actually immune to Condemn, so predicting it is. Ha! Max damage from Divine Judgment? Oh, right. Exdeath is actually weak to Holy this time around, so this might be an easy fight for once. This fight with the Adamant Golem, Reflect Mage, and Black Warlock is the bane of my existence. This is like impossible to run from. So after a few predicts, I won. But look at that, a rare Power Staff drop from that Black Warlock. Unfortunately, all it does is berserk a target. I bet this is completely worthless. Although I could use it to go back and farm Metamorphs in Sage Guido's cave for Staff of Lights. No, I ain't going back. I just worked my way straight to the top to find Gilgamesh! I gotta fight him, it's traditional. Condemn was worth a try, but it's back to standard predict looping. Divine Judgment into Eruptions. Divine Judgment connects for 600 damage, okay, not looking too hot. This version of Gilgamesh's status shenanigans are actually no problem for Oracle. Condemning my party to a life of recuperating can clear any and all of those statuses away. I'm back to predict loops and waiting around. What else is Oracle gonna do? Divine Judgment finally connects for 5,000 damage. That was short-lived, we're back to 600. But here's a 3,500 damage eruption. It was all from Bartz. I'm just gonna focus on Bartz using predict. The girls can spam recuperate and rejuvenate. Gilgamesh caught on to my strategy. He slugged Bartz, confused him, and then slugged him again, killing him. Nice. And it really just keeps happening. High potion chucking it is. Bartz is finally up and back on track with his predictions. Divine Judgment and Eruptions start doing reasonable damage. After a few more predicts and flail smacks, Gilgamesh starts gabbing. Then he transforms, leading to Exdeath transforming him along the Z-axis down through the floor to the end zone. I ran back to the save point and saved, because I sure as heck ain't doing that one again if things go wrong. I restored my HP and MP with potions and ethers, because I sure as hell ain't setting up my MP again. Exdeath, I predict a speedy end to you. Oh, he didn't condemn me, nice. And just for that, I'm not even gonna try to condemn you either, buddy. I do predict some eruptions and divine judgments coming your way. Oh no, not reverse polarity. You know what, Oracle's shrimp-like physiques will never actually stand up to a single vacuum wave, so that might actually be kinda scary. I will set up all of my predicts and then use the row command, because what else am I going to do with all of these stupid turns while I wait for my predictions to come true? The first round of predictions come out, a very solid eruption and a max damage divine judgment. It was so nice that it happened twice. Exdeath's already in his final phase because here's the tier 3 spells. Please, sir, avoid casting Thundaga. That's the only one I don't absorb or negate. Another party-wide set of predictions of eruptions and divine judgments. Kryl got healed with a Fire 3, but Ferris did not enjoy the basic attack much at all. My HP numbers are now all messed up. Eruption connected for 200 damage. That's like worse than a physical attack. Another Thundaga. Please, man, just use Blizzard or Firaga. I revived Ferris, and then 2 more Divine Judgments came out for 1,400 a pop. Solid, but I'd like this battle to be over, please. Ferris was flattened again, but I have a priority. I need to get these predicts down. There's a negated Fire 3, with a follow-up slap on Lena. Now that I'm set up, I can finally revive Ferris, even if she does just get slapped down again. But that didn't happen because the next Divine Judgment hits Exdeath for over 7,000 damage. He's raptured from existence, and I'm somehow teleported back home. I mean, I know exactly how it happened. A celebratory ball ensues in Tycoon. We've defeated Exdeath, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that this is just the beginning of my woes. Kryl and Bartz leave those Tycoon sisters behind. Back to Boko and River status crossed. Hole status fallen into. The Antlion is barely a boss, but he isn't condemnable either. Why does he deserve the heavy flag? I've once again returned to predict looping. At least on Kryl, because you get a free heal after beating Exdeath, and Bartz's MP is at 9. 9 MP leads to Pestilence, and that's no bueno, my dudes. Bartz is relegated to flail duty while Kryl predict loops. Getting a 2,000 damage eruption followed by a 1,800 damage divine judgment is good, but this fight has taken absolutely forever. Antlion should never, ever be this tedious. This is also the final time in the series that I wait around for Ferris to throw me the rope, then watch Exdeath crush the turtle in glorious one-on-one combat. God, I love fast forward on repeat playthroughs for real. What could Sage Guido possibly tell me that I don't already know? I would actually love to use the chicken knife this playthrough, but there's no chance of that happening. I went to more anyways to restock on items. Afterwards, I started heading into random battles to set up my MP with predicts and runnin'. I also condemned enemies to death, and at the last second throw up a prediction that will never come true to spend some MP. The Gargoyle Guardians absorb holy damage, so Eruption Divine Judgment is out. Cleansing Blessing is what I'm gonna have to use. After getting set up, it's into the Pyramid of Moor to take on the Gargoyle Guardians for real. Predict hits everything, so killing them both at the same time should be a complete non-issue. He said, screaming internally and externally. My cleansings are now hitting for an unremarkable 700 damage, a far cry from the thousands that I deserve. All I can do is cycle through. A round of blessings comes out, and then another cleansing cycle. Only one gargoyle died. Oh no. That rare power staff drop was an absolute godsend. It allowed me to berserk the final gargoyle to prevent it from reviving the other one. I never would have thought that I'd be depending on a rare drop, but I am unbelievably glad that I got one. Especially since the next cleansing hit for over 2,000 damage and still didn't kill the gargoyle. Another cleansing does the trick though. I've entered the pyramid where there is absolutely nothing that I care about except the tablet. Most of the enemies here are susceptible to Condemned Doom, and I'm feeling especially weak in this brave new world. As a result, I clear out everything with Condemned to gain some EXP. Even these mecha heads are susceptible to Doom. That's wild, man. Oracle's had a very painless trip to the top of the pyramid, and the tablet is mine. Who cares about Dragon Kings being released to terrorize the world? The real thing to worry about is Melusine, and I wish I was joking. Normally, Melusine is a joke of a boss. I thought I was setting myself up for success by manipulating my MP to set everyone up with turn 1 eruption predicts. I was gonna smash her while she was vulnerable to fire damage. But this was never gonna be easy. My initial eruptions did 600, 2000, and 5000 damage for a very solid start. But my only choice now is to cycle to Divine Judgment on the second pass. These of course hit for 0. But Divine Judgment also damages MP, so that's a plus I guess. Apparently Melusine just doesn't have that much MP because she attempted Blizzaga, which whiffed before she barrier changed. My follow-up eruptions healed her for a paltry 300 damage, and Divine Judgments are still hitting for 0. That means the only course of action is to use the Morning Star from Moor to slowly, and I do mean slowly, tear off her remaining HP. Melusine has 20,000 HP. My eruptions dealt about 7,000 damage, so 13,000 damage to bonk through with the Morning Star, because the flails just don't do any damage. Bart's is at least connecting for like 200 to 300 damage a hit, so that's decent. The problem is I can't really do anything else. I opted to have Bart's constantly attack while Kryl and Ferris predict Divine Judgment, and while that predict is still up, attempt Eruption. Eruption fails because Divine Judgment is still in progress. This is going to keep everyone healed, and Divine Judgment, while always doing 0 damage to Melusine, will also start to drain her MP in all of her forms. Eventually I destroyed all of Melusine's MP in all of her forms. This effectively made her a punching bag for Bart's to beat to death. 35 minutes later, Oracles did it. I really am making this harder on myself by not using the Cleansing Blessing loop. I think for Melusine, I had far too much to think. It really can't get much worse than that Melusine fight though, right? Right? Lena's back in the party, and I'm back on the airship to witness the slurpening once again. Then every single one of you saw this one coming. I'm doing the standard Merged World setup. Back to Boko and riding him straight to Istri for the magic lamp. Hey, Oracles actually have some insane magic power. Resorting to ripping lamp charges and refilling it at Istri is probably a more effective strategy than predict looping, but we will cross that bridge when we get there. On the way back to my airship, I stopped at Kuza Castle. I'm dropping the tablet to pick up exactly the Sage Staff, the only weapon I can actually use as an Oracle. Then the Magus Rod and Apollo's Harp, since they were close by. That causes Exdeath to seethe in anger and send the primary color boys out of the void. That gremlin may be green, but he's a cowardly yellow belly, you can just tell. I don't foresee any problems with those beasts of the void, but I am a lowly level 30, and Oracle's constitution has been, concerning to say the least. I'm going to need to grind to survive even with near constant full heals thanks to Predict. The damage is just getting out of control. I went to Phantom, skipped all of the shopping since I'm broke, and went straight to Bingus and flew south to the North Desert, where I got my ass handed to me. Seriously, I was wiped out in a random battle before I could really do anything. Predict kills too slow, and Condemn also kills too slow. I died in random battles multiple times without a single victory in sight. I had no choice, I had to leave the desert. Oracles simply can't grind here effectively, at least not right now. I'm flabbergasted, I don't even know what to do. That's always been my go-to grinding location. I returned to Phantom Village and sold a bunch of treasure to pick up 3 Morning Stars while I thought about what to do next. I settled in grinding in the forest outside of Moor. The slugs and witches here are susceptible to Condemn, and not lethal enough to be a problem. I'm in this for the long haul. And oh boy, was it ever a long haul. I ended up at level 55. Completely outlandish by all standards. But this is the tail end of this series, and I want Oracle to finish strong. At level 55, it's finally time to finish this wretched playthrough out. But first, I need some reflect rings, so I headed to the Phoenix Tower to grind. Lemures and Parthenopes are susceptible to Condemned Doom, so grinding here is pretty effective. Probably should have moved here sooner. All I need are 2 reflect rings, and I got them after about 10 minutes. Then I did a massive item restock, and finally returned to Phantom Village for all of the gear I could possibly want. I'm buying Lamia's tiaras, Hermes sandals, black robes, and of course, as many high potions and phoenix downs and elixirs as I can afford. Now, I tackle the island shrine. This should be easy with my newfound power. You know, the 2000 plus HP I gained is helping a lot, but shockingly my damage hasn't changed at all. Cleansing can still hit wild ranges from as low as 700 to 5000 plus. Unfortunately, once again I was killing one gargoyle at a time, leaving the other one to revive it. This happened a few times before I finally got wise. Seriously, I have no idea how I would have done this without that rare power staff drop in Exdeath's castle. This is my public service announcement to you all now. If you ever want to do Oracle only for some stupid reason, grind yourself at least 1 power staff in Castle Exdeath. It will save you an ungodly amount of headache. Eventually I just stopped bothering with predicts and beat the berserk gargoyles to death. I fully anticipated condemning or running from everything in the island shrine, so I swapped myself to Hermes sandals for extra turns. Oh look at that, how fun! A level 5 death on my party of level 55s. Great, at least this happened after I saved. Realistically, I could just leave and go tackle the Interdimensional Rift, but I'm committed to seeing the content for better or for worse. I'm running through and checkpoint hopping down to the tablet. My MP is set up for cleansing blessing loops, but I'm swapping back to flame rings to negate frost counters from Mughal, which just never came, because predicts continue to avoid triggering AI scripts. I've hit a stable 2000 damage per cycle. I also just started intentionally failing the blessing cycle so I could get more cleansings out faster. Wendigo falls once again, surprising absolutely nobody. I collected the tablet, but then I was immediately nailed with level 5 death on the way out, so I gotta do it all over again. This time I just kept my Hermes sandals on and did exactly the same thing. Cleansing blessing loops, with intentionally whiffing blessing. With my extra turns from Hermes sandals, I got the occasional Morningstar whack in. I beat Wendigo easily a second time, snagged the tablet, and this time, somehow managed to dodge level 5 death on the way out of the island shrine. Really should have just grinded to level 56. Would have saved myself a migraine and a spurt of gamer rage. My next destination is the Fork Tower. I've set the Tycoon Sisters up with reflect rings and they're going up the magic side. Bartz and Kryl are beefing it up the physical side. Safe to say I ran from everything in both towers. Minotaur's up first as usual, and at level 55 with this absurd health bar, this is going to be a breeze. Bartz has beaten Minotaur down with the Sage Staff, while Kryl just throws high potions. A completely uneventful Minotaur fight. Omniscient is also going to be completely free, because I'm taking the easy out. I'm running him out of MP with my reflect rings. I just unbound the fast forward and waited. Lena did die during this phase because Drain penetrates Reflect, but Ferris lived because she got reflected regen on her. After about 40 minutes of unbound fast forward, Omniscient was out of MP. I witnessed him whiff Libra, so he was 100% out of MP. Now I just have to kill him. I revived Lena and started the Morningstar beatdown, which was not going well. It's really good that I brought 2 people because Morningstars can hit for like 150 on the low roll. Omniscient's regen heals him for about 175 a round. This isn't even getting into the horrendous accuracy of flails. If I whiff a swing, I need like 2 attack rounds to make up for that miss. If I came up the Fork Tower solo, I probably wouldn't have been able to kill Omniscient with physical attacks. It was at this point that I genuinely considered resetting and giving one of the Tycoon Sisters the Sage Staff to speed this along. The Tycoon Sisters did eventually pull through. It only took 25 minutes of wildly swinging Morningstars, but they did do it. The Fork Tower is destroyed and good riddance. I'm headed down to the catapult to see Sid and Mid one last time for an airship upgrade. This time, for Submarine. I've chosen to solve the Mystery of History first. For the third set of Gargoyle Guardians, I didn't even hesitate. I berserked both of them with the Power Staff right off the bat. This completely shuts down the revival mechanics. Then I just beat them to death with Morningstars. I didn't even need to heal. I mastered Oracle ages ago, but for the very first time I'm putting on Read Ahead. Predict has been too fundamental to my strategy to ever take off. Read Ahead is the exact opposite of Gladiator's Lure. It severely reduces your encounter rate. It's bordering on Encounter None. Not entirely, but it may as well be because I got through the entirety of History Falls without ever seeing an encounter. I snagged the tablet at the bottom, watched in horror as Leviathan devoured Red Guy whole, and then just left, straight to the Undersea Trench. Both of the gargoyles are berserked again and beaten to death. The only difference is this time, Ferris died, but a Phoenix down and a couple of rejuvenations later, and I'm inside the trench. Read ahead is insanely good. Why didn't I put this on earlier? I got through the entirety of the Undersea Trench without a single battle. That makes the lava walking section a lot more enjoyable. At the final tablet, it's those yellow-bellied gremlins. They're not heavy, but they are brothers. 3 condemns later, and it's just waiting this battle out. 1, 2, and they revived. Okay, there's a Petrify from Delta attack. Let's just try condemning him to death again. Really just keeps happening. Somehow, even with just 1 tick left on Doom, they keep getting turns and reviving everyone. Magic Lamp it is! I kinda hoped that I wouldn't have to do this with Oracle, but the recharge station is right there, so I may as well. Odin comes out to win the battle for me. I really should have saw that one coming. Tablet number 4 is acquired. I recharged the lamp on the way out and got the heck out of there encounter-free. One final formality before the Rift. I went back to the Castle Akuza and dropped off the 3 remaining tablets for the 9 remaining legendary weapons. On the way out, I got a hot tip from a scholar, so I did a hot dip into the newly formed Undersea Trench 2, the sequel. This is where you officially acquire the Oracle Shard. I restocked on items and headed full circle back to Tycoon Castle. Before I enter the Rift, I have to do a little bit of prep work to set up my MP. Hopefully for the very last time. I set up everyone for cleansing blessing loops so I could wear my Hermes sandals. Divine Huge Interruption is simply underperforming. Then I put Read Ahead back on and entered the Rift. Read Ahead led to very few encounters and a leisurely stroll down to Phantom. Just don't drink from the pot, damn it. Honestly, resetting and running back was way more efficient than trying to set up my MP again. Pot dodged successfully this time, and I made it to the tree. Ferris swapped back to predict, and then I was startled by Califasteri and her crystal. I set up all of my predictions, and then she set up Reflect. Ha! My calamities are unreflectable. Califasteri was a very unnoteworthy fight. Some of my cleansings are low damage, and some are 4,000 to 6,000. I intentionally failed blessing predictions to cycle the cleansings faster. Califasteri basically hasted herself and healed a few times before keeling over. That's one Rift boss down. I swapped back to Read Ahead, snagged the Cave Coral Ring, saved, and dodged Omega to face off against the Apanda. After predictably giving Ferris Predict again. I respect Apanda a lot more than Califasteri, so I chose to do 2 blessings and 2 cleansings at a time. This actually makes it a little bit easier to track whose predictions are going off too. 700 damage cleansings on round 1 is not looking very promising. Apanda's Wind Slash is instantly negated with an incoming blessing, and the second round of cleansings come true. 2,000 damage is a lot better, but that's still not great for a level 55 character. I will take a 6,000 damage finisher though. Apanda's down, Read Ahead is back on, and I ripped straight on over to Azulmagia. I set up my predictions while he used Off Guard. Who cares about that? I really don't care about roulettes either. The first cleansing comes out for 500 damage. Okay, that's concerning. Azulmagia instantly countered with level 5 death. Well, I guess I'm redoing Apanda there. I'll see you in a few minutes, boys. Back to Azulmagia again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, and I'll be right back again. I'm on my last legs for this challenge. I'm tired, boss. I was desperate to avoid doing this, but I need to grind up to level 56. Thankfully, everything inside the Dimension Castle is susceptible to condemn. Iron Giants are by far the best for effort for EXP. I'm a condemning expert at this point though, so it didn't take that long to get 1 level. Oracle is proving to be easily one of the most annoying jobs in the game. I would definitely mark it as the most tedious by a long shot. I'm finally ready to take on Azulmagia again without the threat of an instant wipe. I set up my predictions, and he Brain Blasted me for 1200 damage. Was Mind Blast always that strong? I don't know, I don't care. All I can do is spam predictions and beat him off with my Morning Stars in between. That damage is looking pretty good. What's not pretty good is I'm now susceptible to level 2 old. But I can fix that with a round of recuperations in between my predictions. We're back to 500 damage cleansings there, boys. And he's Mighty Guard? Come on, man. We're down to 200 damage cleansings, boys. It's never been more over. I honestly think smacking him around with maces is just going to be better at this point. I've cleared old with Recuperate, but the damage has been done. My melee swings are genuinely hitting for nothing. Another round of cleansings come out, and I hit one for 2,000 damage, and the next was 2,600. But then I was level 2 ulted again, so it's back to recuperating. It really doesn't matter if my predictions are hitting for sub 200 damage if the rest are hitting for 2000 plus. Victory is inevitable as long as my MP holds out. And trust me, I have tons of ether. Azul Magia was a super long and disgustingly tedious fight, but I was really under no threat once level 5 death was off the table. I finally had myself a new save point. And I resisted the urge to immediately rest. I saved, used some of my ethers and high potions, and then took on Catastrophe. Nothing worth noting here either. I set up predictions that fully healed my team, and I had more than enough HP to survive multiple Earthshakers. This was just Predict 101. Spamming 3-7 while using Hermes Sandals to get more Morningstar smacks in while I waited. Catastrophes done in with my own predicted catastrophes. I collected myself a big smooch, and then immediately have to deal with the horrible Halicarnassus. Wouldn't you know it, Predict looping resumes. I set up my predictions before Ribbit, then start spamming Maiden's Kisses. Ain't nobody got time for recuperation. Predict looping ends up winning the day once again, surprising nobody. You set up the cleansing, then you bring out the maces. Being level 56 is definitely helping my physical attacks out for sure. I mean, they're pretty good, for Oracle at least. Otherwise, about all that happened in this fight was Bart's got murked by Holy, but a single Phoenix down fixes that one. The final predicts went off just after the second round of Karururururu. I ended this battle as a frog. I actually have very little confidence in beating Twintania, so I went back to save. I learned my lesson from Azul Magia. I only actually have one coral ring, and that's going on Bart's, just in case. Wouldn't you know it, Predict's damage output is slow and wildly swingy. This is a recipe for disaster versus a boss you need to kill fast. At least Predicts aren't triggering Mega Flare counters. A few 45 damage cleansings come out, but I need to carve off 55,000 health. Oracle just isn't capable of doing that before Giga Flare nailed my team for over 3100 damage, aka higher than my maximum health. All I can do is run it back. For round 2, I set out the magic lamp. I used Mega Flare, then spammed Rejuvenation to deal with the Tidal Wave counters. I did the same thing with Lamp Charge 2, Leviathan. Then I just spammed Rejuvenation and waited until Twintania started charging Giga Flare. At which point, I sliced him in half with Odin from the magic lamp. I actually kind of need Odin for Neo Exdeath. I put Rita head back on and walked my way all the way out of the Interdimensional Rift. I didn't actually get a single encounter. I flew my airship back to Boko and ran him to Istri Falls to recharge the lamp again. I took this as an opportunity to restock on healing items too before heading back. I have a feeling I might need them. I guess if push really comes to shove, I can just use all the lamp charges in every remaining boss fight and then leave the rift and recharge it. But I hate leaving the rift. It's just a really long walk even without encounters. I marathoned my way back to the Crystal Dimension, encountering Super Gilgamesh. But this guy's always a joke. Or is he? Back attack? Come on! I opted to try and slug him over and over, which was not a great idea versus the Swordmaster. Yes, Gilgamesh almost killed me, but somehow Oracles pulled through. I mean, I had to rip both Mega Flare and Tsunami, and Bart's barely survived. But a win's a win, right? I ain't leaving the rift again, Chief. I'm headed straight through to Necrophobe. I dropped Read Ahead for Predict, because it's the only way that I'm going to be able to win this. Condemned Doom whiffs on the barriers, not super surprising. Throwing down a Predict and putting Rejuvenations on my team. That's all I can do. It's like all I've ever been able to do since like Ifrit. The first round of cleansing takes out 2 barriers, and then another round finishes them off. Necrophobe's Monologue and Flash both fail. I continue my 3-7 strategy. Most of my cleansings are hitting for over 3000 damage, so this ended up being pretty fast. Being in the back row with a huge HP pool obviously helped a lot in surviving Necrophobe's massive physical attacks and vacuum waves. The near constant stream of full heals and rejuvenations also helped. A few Predict cycles later and Gilgamesh arrives to mark the end of this battle. Oracle, unironically, has been one of the worst experiences I've ever had playing Final Fantasy V. It's been beyond tedious and incredibly obnoxious to play. This final gauntlet of the Merged World has been especially bad. But here I am, with the end in sight. All that's left is to destroy Neo Exdeath, and I'm free. My eyes have completely glazed over as I watch the Dawn Warriors and Lena's dad push back the Void. I've lost count how many times I've seen this. Afterwards, I return to the save point, because I ain't watching that again, Chief. Let this be our finest and final battle, Exdeath. Instant white hole, I should have seen that one coming. But Predict is always taking precedence. Of course, Exdeath would slug Kryl after I revived and de-stoned her. But here comes the predictions for full heals. 3-7 alternating predicts are being interspliced with Morningstar smacks or rejuvenations. Cleansings hitting for 2000 to 3000 damage. Maybe this won't be so bad, he thought, as Ferris was instantly white-holed. Predictable precedence and restoring Ferris. So nice that it happened twice. Exdeath really has it out for Ferris for some reason. It's gotta be that beautiful big hair in the crosshairs. I'm starting to intentionally fail 3 blessings to force out more cleansings. Oracle getting hit with Meteor would be really, really bad. I'm keeping 1 Oracle on the standard 3/7 loop to maintain my health with the occasional blessing. Everyone else is going for cleanses. This falls into a predictable and stable pattern. Exdeath's mostly just physical attacking, and you know what? I'm totally okay with that. Sometimes it even leads to a big 6,500 damage cleansing. But there really was no way Oracle stood a chance of dodging Meteor. Thanks to a full heal from Blessing and damage distribution, everyone managed to survive. Blessed be. Oh look, there it is. Back to that 3/7 grind. Just set up the predictions and smacked Exdeath around with maces. Cleansing hits for like 600 damage. God damn, do I hate Oracle. Meteor number 2 was simply inevitable. The damage was evenly split this time, but Ferris took a dirt nap anyways. She really just can't catch a break. Ferris was revived just in time for a weak blessing to not fully heal her. Nice, dude. 2 more cleansings clear out Treeform Exdeath. That was a lot more trouble than anticipated. Usually I'd be saying Exdeath's quaking up in his boots as he vibrates in here, but I think he's frothing at the mouth to kill me this time around. But not before I waste the back part with Zantetsuken instantly from the magic lamp. No more magic should make this a little bit easier. The strategy remains the same. I set up the predictions, and eventually the first cleansing lands for 700 damage. That's only what, like 49,300 to go? God damn, Oracle, just please get your act together. I'm ripping through the lamp charges for extra damage, but mostly to get Golem up since Bart's got nailed with a 1200 damage vacuum wave. That was only about 40% of his max HP though. Getting hit with Almagust, that was truly inevitable. 1600 damage across the board, but nobody died. Not even the weakened Barts. I threw a few rejuvenations out while I waited for my predictions to come to fruition. Blessing came out to heal everyone, and then the round of cleansing started. You know, under normal circumstances, I'd be very happy to see some of those numbers. Unfortunately, that damage discrepancy between parts is really bad. Nearly 6,000 on the back part, 1,300 on the front, and 2,100 on the bottom. The one thing that Predict kind of had going for it was fairly uniform damage distribution, and now even that's out the window. There's no way that I'm gonna kill everything at the same time at this point. I'm going to have to deal with a final parts Berserk phase. Double turns featuring meteors. Yuck. I forgot. I'm using Hermes sandals, so in between predictions I can start smacking the parts around. Maybe, just maybe I can equalize the damage distribution. Take this, idiot! Hey, nobody claimed that it was gonna be good damage, okay? That cleansing was a real big boy. 7,000 damage to the back part. Maybe I can actually do this. Another one. The tide's turning, I can feel it. I'm getting about 1,000 damage in between cleansings, and yes, 7,000 damage to all parts. It's working! It's finally coming together! Neo Exdeath's been uncharacteristically calm. All that's happened recently is Bart's getting slugged for another 1,200 damage. There's that weird damage split again. 7,000 to the top parts, 1,400 to the bottom. Better start beating off that monster face down to the bottom. But it just keeps happening. The Grand Cross part has perished, and I never saw a single one. But now the top part's dead too. The Berserked bottom part instantly Almagusted, but showed mercy and used Comet instead of Meteor as a follow-up. I'm still alive and kicking, but this final part has a lot of HP left. We're talking at least like 30,000. I should be able to do this as long as I play my cards right. As long as I keep my HP full and at least one blessing incoming at all times, I should be able to get through. He said, screaming internally. Before my blessing came out, I got nailed with Meteor into Maelstrom. Bart's ate it, but everyone else survived. Barely. Blessing came in immediately after to heal everyone back to full. There's no way around it, I have to get Bart's back up. I got some new predictions out and some mace swings off. Blessing has returned to heal my party to full. Cleansing connects for over 6,000 damage. Very strong, but I'm still a long ways off of a victory. The next one is 5,500. A few more mace swings come out and another cleansing for 3,500. Exdeath just keeps on trucking. All I can do is continue to make predictions and smack him around. I can't even desperately go in for a kill shot since I have to wait for these stupid predicts to come out. The next cleansing is 1,400 damage. Come on, why low roll now? A round of Morningstar smacks for about 1,500 damage and still nothing. But here's my next round of cleansings. 1,400 damage. 2 more physicals for 700. Double vacuum wave is about as good as I could have hoped for. 1 more cleansing for 1,400 damage. I'm throwing some rejuvenates down in the meantime, but it just wasn't needed. The last low-rolling cleansing I'm ever gonna see hits Exdeath for 1400 damage and takes him down. That was Final Fantasy V beaten using only oracles, and I am never touching this stupid job ever again. Final Fantasy V using only oracles, also known as playing a great game in the single most annoying way possible, was completed in 1 day, 4 hours, 15 minutes, and 23 seconds. So the question is Oracle bad? Yes. But once you figure it out, it's got some potential. Condemn is a really strange ability. The first major problem with Condemn is the countdown timer. You can only have 1 Condemn on each target at any time before it goes off. This is a big problem if you're a complete and utter brainlet and bringing 4 oracles, like me. For offensive Condemns, I really have no idea why you'd use anything other than Doom. If your target isn't heavy, and Condemn can connect, you could do some minor elemental damage, or instead instantly kill the target with Doom. This nuance renders everything other than Rejuvenate for healing, Recuperate for status cures, and instant death Condemns completely and utterly pointless. The most logical change in the world would be to make the general damage Condemns work on everything, and only have Doom fail on heavy targets. It would actually make Oracle somewhat usable casually. The healing Condemns are kind of interesting, but it's also rough with the timer. Is someone going to get killed before your Rejuvenate goes off? Totally possible, and it happened more often than I'd like. Another strategy is to pre-heal in case they do get hit, but if they don't get hit, it's just a wasted turn. Barring all of that, Condemn just isn't worth using when you have a plethora of other, stronger, instantaneous, and more effective strategies at your disposal with other jobs. Do I even need to talk about Predict? If you're like me, you probably unlocked Predict through some casual playthrough. Tried it out, immediately killed yourself with something like Pestilence, and threw it in the trash, which is exactly where Predict belongs. Predict's damage output being tied to your final digits HP is strange. It's really not something that you can easily manipulate, especially if you're doing the 3-7 Predict loops, which is the most obvious and strongest way to use Predict. All you can hope to do is come to a battle with your max HP at a certain point thanks to your current level. Your stamina is supposed to affect your max HP, but I'm pretty sure gear stamina just doesn't work in 5, so level is the only way to manipulate your HP. The Cleansing Blessing loop means you're always going to be near your max health. So unless you happen to have the exact correct digits because of your current level, sometimes your damage is just going to suck with predictions. I really don't understand what they were thinking with that mechanic. I was extraordinarily happy to find out about Predict and running to manipulate my MP, because otherwise, I really have no idea how I was going to beat this game through mandatory heals like on Zayza's ship. The reality of Oracle is that there's no reason to pick it over anything else. White Mage's Curaga and Asuna completely dust the Condemned support skills. That's not even getting into access to Shell, Protect, and the raises. Black and Summon Magic absolutely destroy Predict. They are so much more reliable, it's unreal. Did I mention that all of the above are also, instant cast and don't damage your own team? Seriously, I have no idea why Oracle exists in its current state. I can really only assume that it was the final job and they rushed it out the door. Read Ahead is a very nice ability. With Read Ahead active, I basically ran through the entirety of the Rift without an encounter multiple times. I can definitely see Read Ahead being useful when you're running through the Sealed Temple, for instance. The real shame about Oracle, and the worst part, is that it isn't even truly bad. It's that it's just so ungodly slow and tedious to play. The Condemn and Predict animations are both obnoxiously long. Then you have to actually wait for them to go off. I would have shut the game off before I got to the merged world if I wasn't using emulator speed up, because holy hell man, it's brutal. Even using emulator speed up, I was falling asleep at the wheel. What I thought to be excessive grinding for Oracle turned out to be just barely not enough. Level 5 death whacking me down in both the Island Shrine and at Azul Magia multiple times was painful. I was desperate to just get this playthrough over and done with, and I was hit with wall after wall because of how unreliable oracles are. But it's all over now. All 4 Game Boy Advance jobs have been successfully completed. Now, along with the 22 standard jobs, that's all 26. Every single Final Fantasy V single job challenge is complete. Thank you for watching Backlog Buster, with an extended thank you to my blessed Buster boys for your continued support of the channel. One project finishes, but there are many exciting new projects on the horizon. So hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next video.